The first punch shattered Min-jun's jaw. The second cracked his ribs. By the third, he'd stopped counting. Blood filled his mouth as his cousin Young-woo's men dragged him deeper into the alley. Away from the streetlights. Away from witnesses. Away from everything he'd built over the last decade. "Any last words, boss?" The scarred lieutenant sneered, pressing a gun against Min-jun's temple. Min-jun spat blood at his feet. "Tell Young-woo he's dead." The gun came down hard against his skull, and the world went black. Amara Okafor was exhausted, the kind of bone-deep tired that came from working 2 jobs while maintaining a full course load at Seoul National University. Her fingers trembled as she counted the bills in her purse, the reality of her empty bank account hitting her like a physical blow. $3,000 gone. Scammed by someone she trusted to help her transfer money home to Nigeria. Her mother's medical bills were piling up, and she had nothing to send. "You okay?" her coworker asked as Amara grabbed the trash bags for her final task of the night. "Fine," Amara lied, forcing a smile. "Just tired." The November air bit through her thin jacket as she stepped into the alley behind the convenience store. Seoul winters were brutal, nothing like Lagos. She was halfway to the dumpster when she heard it. A groan, low and pained, coming from the shadows near the wall. Amara froze. Every instinct screamed at her to run back inside. Lock the door. Call the police. This was Korea and she was a foreign student. Getting involved in things that weren't her business could cost her everything. The groan came again, weaker this time. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind. Words spoken years ago in their small Lagos apartment. "Amara, our humanity is measured by what we do when no one is watching." She pulled out her phone, turned on the flashlight, and moved toward the sound. The man was crumpled against the wall like discarded trash, his expensive clothes torn and soaked with blood. His face was a mess of bruises and cuts. But even through the damage, Amara could see he was young, maybe late 20s. His breathing was shallow, labored. "Hey!" she whispered, kneeling beside him. "Can you hear me?" His eyes fluttered open, dark and unfocused. He said something in Korean she didn't understand, his hand weakly pushing at her. "I'm going to help you," Amara said, already pulling out her phone to call an ambulance. His hand shot out faster than she thought possible for someone so injured, gripping her wrist. "No," he rasped in accented English. "No hospital. No police. You need help. Please." The desperation in his voice stopped her. "They'll find me." Amara looked at this bleeding stranger, at the fear in his eyes that spoke of something worse than his injuries, and made a decision that would change everything. 20 minutes later, she was half carrying him up the stairs to her tiny apartment, his arm around her shoulders, his blood staining her work uniform. Her roommate Ji-won opened the door, took one look at them, and her face went pale. "Amara, what the hell?" "He needs help," Amara panted, dragging him toward the couch. "Are you insane? We don't know who he is. This is Korea, not Lagos. You can't just bring random bleeding men home." "I couldn't just leave him." "Yes, you could. That's exactly what you should have done." Ji-won grabbed her bag. "I'm staying at my boyfriend's. Don't call me when this blows up in your face." The door slammed, leaving Amara alone with the stranger who'd now passed out on her couch. She stared at him for a long moment, wondering if Ji-won was right, if she just made the biggest mistake of her life. Then she went to get the first aid kit. For the next 3 hours, Amara cleaned wounds, applied bandages, and monitored his breathing. The tattoos covering his torso caught her attention, intricate dragons and Korean symbols that looked expensive, professional. Not the kind of ink a homeless man would have. His watch, though cracked, was a Patek Philippe. She knew because she'd seen one in a magazine once, priced at over $50,000. Who was this man? As dawn broke over Seoul, he finally opened his eyes fully. Amara, dozing in the chair beside the couch, jerked awake at his movement. "Where am I?" His voice was rough, suspicious. "My apartment. You were hurt. I couldn't just leave you there." He tried to sit up, winced, and fell back. His eyes scanned the small space. The textbooks stacked on every surface, the tiny kitchen, the second-hand furniture. Then they landed on her. Why? Why what? Why did you help me? Amara shrugged, suddenly feeling self-conscious under his intense gaze. Because you needed help. I'm Amara, by the way. He studied her for a long moment, something unreadable flickering across his battered face. Min, he finally said. Call me Min. Well, Min, you should probably go to a hospital. Some of those cuts might need stitches. No hospitals. The firmness in his voice left no room for argument. I'll be fine. I just need a few days to recover. Then I'll be out of your way. A few days. Amara's eyes widened. I don't even know you. Then you shouldn't have brought me here. There was no malice in his words, just a statement of fact. But you did. So either throw me out now, or let me stay until I can walk without bleeding. Your choice. Amara bit her lip. She should throw him out. This was crazy. But looking at him, broken and alone, she couldn't do it. Fine. 3 days. Then you're gone. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. 3 days. Those 3 days turned into something Amara hadn't expected. Min was a model houseguest, despite his injuries. On the second day, she came home from her morning classes to find him in the kitchen, somehow having managed to cook a full Korean breakfast despite barely being able to stand. You shouldn't be up, she scolded, but her stomach growled at the smell. You've been taking care of me. It's the least I can do. He gestured to the table. Sit. They ate in comfortable silence until Amara's phone rang. Her mother. She excused herself, switching to Yoruba as she moved to her tiny bedroom. Mama, I told you, everything is fine. No, I'm sending money soon. Mama, please, I just need a little more time. I love you too. When she came back, Min was watching her with those dark, knowing eyes. Family? He asked. My mother. She needs surgery. Nothing serious, but... Amara sank into her chair, suddenly feeling the weight of everything crushing down on her. I had savings, $3,000, but I got scammed last week. Some guy promised to help me transfer the money home at a better rate, and I was stupid enough to trust him. What's his name? The question was so casual, so simple, but something in Min's tone made Amara look up. There was a coldness in his eyes that hadn't been there before, a dangerous edge that made her shiver. It doesn't matter. It's my fault for being naive. His name, Amara. Why do you want to know? Min leaned back, and for a moment, the mask of the polite houseguest slipped. What Amara saw underneath was something ancient and terrifying, a predator barely contained in human skin. Then it was gone, replaced by his usual calm expression. Because no one should take advantage of kindness, he said quietly. Especially not yours. Before Amara could respond, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Money transferred. $3,000. I'm sorry. So sorry. Please don't hurt me. Her bank app showed the deposit. $3,000, exactly what she'd lost. What? Amara's hands shook. How did you? I didn't do anything, Min said, but his eyes told a different story. Maybe he had a conscience. People don't just give back money they stole. Some do, when properly motivated. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Amara stood, backing away from the table. Who are you? Really? Min's jaw tightened. Someone you shouldn't have saved. Over the next few days, strange things kept happening. The manager at her convenience store job, who'd been sexually harassing her for months, suddenly quit, mumbling something about needing to leave Seoul. The landlord who'd been threatening to raise her rent knocked on her door to apologize and offer a discount instead. Men in black cars started appearing near her building, watching, waiting. And Min got stronger. The bruises faded, the cuts healed, and what emerged was someone who moved with lethal grace, whose presence commanded attention. He was beautiful in a dangerous way, like a blade or a storm. Amara found herself drawn to him despite every warning bell in her head. They talked late into the night, about her dreams of getting her degree and starting a business that could help students like her, about his carefully vague past, about the strange space between their two worlds. Why did you come to Korea? Min asked one night, both of them sitting on her small balcony, Seoul glittering below them. Scholarship. And I wanted to prove I could make it somewhere completely different from home. My parents thought I was crazy. She laughed softly. Maybe I am. You're brave. There's a difference. What about you? What do you do, Min? He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. I manage business interests. Family business. That's vague. It has to be. She turned to look at him. Really look at him. The expensive watch he'd gotten repaired. The way he carried himself. The phone calls he took in rapid Korean when he thought she wasn't listening. The men in the black cars. Are you in trouble? Min met her eyes, and the sadness in them was so profound it hurt to see. I am trouble, Amara. I'm the kind of trouble that destroys good things just by being near them. Then why are you still here? Because for the first time in my life, someone looked at me and saw a person instead of a weapon. Because you gave me something I didn't know I needed. He reached out, his hand hovering near her face but not quite touching. Because I'm selfish enough to want to stay in your light a little longer. Even though I know I'll burn you in the end. Amara's breath caught. The air between them felt electric, charged with something she didn't have words for. She leaned forward, and he met her halfway, their lips almost touching. Her phone shattered the moment. Her mother calling about the surgery. Amara pulled back, apologizing, taking the call. When she returned, Min was standing. I should go tomorrow. What? Why? Because staying will only bring you pain. You deserve better than what I can give you. Shouldn't I decide that? Not when you don't know what you're deciding. His voice was rough with emotion. Amara, if you knew who I really was, what I've done, you'd throw me out yourself. Then tell me. I can't. Won't, you mean? Can't. Won't. Does it matter? He ran a hand through his hair, frustration radiating from every line of his body. What matters is that the longer I stay, the more danger you're in. And I can't. I won't let anything happen to you. I'm not some damsel who needs protecting. I know. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Which is exactly why I need to leave before my world destroys yours. But he didn't leave. Not the next day or the day after. Something always came up, some excuse to stay just one more night. And Amara, knowing she should force the issue, couldn't bring herself to do it. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below telling us what you think will happen next. Will Amara discover Min's true identity? And what do you think she'll do when she does? On the 8th night, Amara came home early from her evening class. The apartment door was slightly open, voices filtering out. Men's voices, speaking in harsh Korean. She should have knocked, should have announced herself. Instead, she peeked through the gap. Min stood in her living room wearing a suit that probably cost more than her entire year's tuition. 5 men in black surrounded him, all of them armed, all of them deferring to him with a respect that bordered on fear. Boss, Youngwoo knows you're alive. One of them said in English, probably for clarity. He's put a price on your head. 2,000,000 for information on your location. Let him try. Min's voice was different. Harder, colder. Nothing like the gentle man who'd cooked breakfast for her. How many of our people stayed loyal? About 60%. The others are afraid of Youngwoo's retaliation. Then we make them more afraid of mine. Tomorrow night, we take back the West Side operations. I want Youngwoo to know I'm coming for everything he stole. And the girl? Another man asked. She's a liability now. Youngwoo's men have been asking questions about her. Every muscle in Min's body went rigid. If anyone touches her, I'll kill them myself. Slowly. Make that very clear to everyone. Boss, with respect, she's seen too much. The smart play. I don't care about the smart play. She's off limits. Completely and permanently off limits. Anyone who even looks at her wrong answers to me. Amara's bag slipped from her numb fingers, hitting the floor with a thud that echoed like a gunshot. Every head turned. Every gun came up. Min's eyes went wide with something that looked like panic. Amara! She ran. Down the stairs, into the street, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. She made it half a block before he caught her, his hand gentle on her arm despite the strength behind it. Please, let me explain. She spun to face him. Explain what? That you've been lying to me? That you're some kind of criminal? That men with guns were standing in my apartment? Yes, all of it. I'll tell you everything. I don't want to hear it. But she didn't pull away from his grip. My name is Kang Min-jun. I run an organization. You mean you're a gangster? He didn't deny it. My family has controlled certain business interests in Seoul for 3 generations. When my father died, I took over. I tried to make it more legitimate to move away from the violence, but some people preferred the old ways. My cousin Young-woo tried to have me killed and take control. The night you found me, I was supposed to die in that alley. And you didn't think to mention this? How could I? Thank you for saving me. By the way, I'm a crime boss. Pain flickered across his face. I was going to leave before you found out. Before my world touched yours. But you didn't leave. No. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. I didn't. Because I'm selfish. Because for 8 days I got to be just Min. Just a man who talked with a beautiful woman about dreams and hopes and normal things. Because when you look at me, you don't see the killer or the boss or the heir to blood money. You see me. The person I wish I could be. Tears burned Amara's eyes. Everything that's been happening. My scammer, my manager. The rent. That was all you. I was protecting you. I didn't ask for protection. I didn't ask for any of this. Her voice broke. I asked for nothing except to help someone who was hurt. And you repaid me with lies. I know, and I'm sorry. If I could take it back. But you can't. Just like you can't take back whatever you've done as whatever you are. Min's hands dropped to his sides. You're right. I can't change what I am. I've killed people, Amara. I've hurt people. I've built an empire on fear and violence. And no amount of wishing makes that disappear. He took a step back. But I meant what I said. You gave me something no one else ever has. You saw me as human. And for that, I'm grateful. Even if you hate me now. I don't hate you. The words surprised her as much as him. I should. But I don't. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. I'll have men watching to keep you safe, but you won't see them. You won't see me again either, if that's what you want. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't matter. What matters is keeping you safe. And right now, the safest thing for you is for me to stay far away. He started to walk away, and Amara felt something tear inside her chest. Min-jun. He turned back, hope and fear warring on his face. I need time, but don't disappear completely. Not yet. The smallest smile touched his lips. As you wish. He melted into the shadows of Seoul streets, leaving Amara standing alone under the streetlights, her entire world tilted on its axis. She went back to her apartment, expecting it to be empty. Instead, she found it had been cleaned, every trace of the men and guns gone. On the table sat a new phone, top of the line with a single number programmed in, and a note in English. If you ever need anything, M. Amara picked up the phone, stared at it, then set it down and cried. Not because she was scared, though she was. Not because she was angry, though she was that too. But because somewhere in the last 8 days, she'd started falling for a man who might be a monster. And she didn't know how to reconcile the gentle Min who'd cooked her breakfast with the cold boss who'd ordered men to take back territory. That night, she barely slept. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow seemed to hide watchers. She thought about calling her parents, thought about packing a bag and running back to Lagos, thought about everything she'd worked so hard to build here potentially crumbling around her. The next morning, she dragged herself to class, exhausted and emotionally wrung out. Her professor droned on about international business ethics, and Amara had to stifle a hysterical laugh. Ethics. If only her professor knew what she'd gotten tangled up in. After class, she checked her bank account and found another deposit. $20,000 with a note. For your mother's surgery and your peace of mind. Not payment. Not obligation. Just because you deserve to focus on your dreams without financial burden. M. Amara stared at the number until the screen blurred. $20,000. More than she'd make in a year at both her jobs combined. Money that could change her mother's life, that could let her focus on school instead of working herself to exhaustion. Blood money. A voice in her head whispered. But her mother needed that surgery. And Min was right. She'd saved him expecting nothing in return. This wasn't payment for her kindness. It was just him taking care of someone who'd taken care of him. Wasn't it? She was still wrestling with the decision when her phone buzzed. Not the new phone, her regular one. Unknown number. We know about you and Kang Min-jun. Come to the address below alone, or we start killing your classmates one by one. You have 1 hour. Ice flooded Amara's veins. An address in Gangnam followed. She looked around the coffee shop where she'd stopped after class, at the other students laughing and chatting, oblivious to the danger that might be circling them because of her. She should call the police. Should call Min-jun. Should do anything except what the text demanded. Instead, she grabbed her bag and headed for the subway. The address led to an abandoned warehouse because of course it did. Amara's hands shook as she pushed open the rusted door, every horror movie she'd ever seen flashing through her mind. The interior was dark, lit only by light filtering through grimy windows. "Hello," her voice echoed in the empty space. "So you're the girl." A man stepped from the shadows, mid-40s, expensive suit, a scar running down his left cheek. 3 armed men flanked him. "The one who made my cousin forget his place." Young-woo. Amara's throat was dry. "Very good. Min-jun must have mentioned me." He circled her like a predator evaluating prey. "You're prettier than I expected. I can see why he'd risk everything for you. Love makes us all fools, doesn't it?" "I don't know what you're talking about. I barely know him." Young-woo laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Please, my men have been watching. The way he looks at you, that's not barely knowing someone. That's obsession, devotion, weakness." He grabbed her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. "And weakness is something I can exploit. Let me go." Amara tried to jerk away, but his grip tightened. "Oh, I will. After I use you to draw out my dear cousin and finish what I started. You see, Min-jun has something I want, his life, his territory, his power. And now, thanks to your meddling, I have the perfect bait. He won't come for me. Like I said, we barely know each other." "Liar." Young-woo's smile was cruel. "You want to know how I know? Because I had him beaten to death and left in an alley, and somehow he survived. The old Min-jun would have come back with an army, burned my operations to the ground, made an example of everyone who betrayed him. But this new Min-jun, he's been quiet, careful, hiding, because he's protecting something. Protecting you." Before Amara could respond, before she could scream or fight or run, the warehouse exploded into chaos. Windows shattered. Men in black poured in from every entrance. Gunfire erupted, deafening in the enclosed space. Young-woo's men returned fire, using Amara as a shield, and she felt the cold press of a gun barrel against her temple. Then he was there. Min-jun moved through the chaos like a force of nature, like violence given human form. He killed Young-woo's men with brutal efficiency. A knife to one throat, a gun taken from another and used to drop 2 more. His men spread out, securing the warehouse, but he had eyes only for Amara. "Let her go." His voice was arctic, death promised in 3 words. "Or what, cousin?" Young-woo pressed the gun harder against Amara's head. "You'll kill me? We both know you won't risk her life." "You're right. I won't risk hers." Min-jun raised his own gun, pointing it at Young-woo's head. "But I'll gladly risk yours. Let's see who's faster." Time seemed to stop. Amara could feel Young-woo's hand trembling, could smell his fierce sweat, could hear her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. She thought about her mother back in Lagos, about the dreams she'd never fulfill, about Min-jun and the 8 days she'd never regret no matter how this ended. Then police sirens wailed in the distance. Young-woo's grip loosened just a fraction, his attention splitting between Min-jun and the approaching law. It was all the opening Min-jun needed. He moved faster than Amara thought possible, closing the distance between them. His hand caught Young-woo's wrist, twisting the gun away from Amara's head. They went down in a tangle of fists and fury, and Amara stumbled backward, one of Min-jun's men catching her before she fell. "Boss!" the man shouted. "Police are 2 minutes out." Min-jun landed one final punch that left Young-woo unconscious on the concrete floor. Blood dripped from his split knuckles as he stood, his eyes finding Amara immediately. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, unable to speak. "Get her out of here," Min-jun ordered his men. "Take her somewhere safe. And someone call the police anonymously about Young-woo's location. Let the law deal with him this time." "What about you?" Amara finally found her voice. "I'll clean this up. I'll make sure you're never connected to any of this. You can go back to your normal life. You're free, Amara. I promise." "What if I don't want to be free?" The words came out before she could stop them. Min-jun went very still. "You don't know what you're saying." "I know exactly what I'm saying. That night in the alley, I had a choice. Walk away or help. I chose to help. I'm making another choice right now. Amara, you saw what I am. What I do. I just killed 3 men in front of you." "I know." Her voice shook, but her gaze didn't waver. "And I'm terrified. Of you, of this world, of what it means if I stay. But I'm more terrified of walking away and spending the rest of my life wondering what if. You said I saw you as human. Well, humans are complicated. They're good and bad, light and dark. And maybe I can handle complicated. You deserve better than this. Than me. Maybe. But that's my decision to make, not yours." She stepped toward him, past the bodies, past the blood, past the evidence of violence that should send her running. "You protected me. You kept me safe even when it put you in danger. That's not nothing. It's not enough. Then make it enough. You said you wanted to make your organization more legitimate. So do it. Change. Not for me, but for yourself. Be the man you pretended to be in my apartment. Be just Min." Sirens grew louder. Min-jun's men were getting antsy, glancing between their boss and the approaching police. "We have to go," one of them urged. Min-jun looked at Amara like he was trying to memorize every detail of her face. "If I do this, if I try to change, there's no guarantee it works. I have enemies. I have obligations. I've done things that can't be undone. I'm not asking for guarantees. I'm asking for a chance. For both of us." "Boss!" Min-jun grabbed Amara's hand. "Then run with me." They ran. Out a back exit. Into waiting cars. Through Seoul streets with police sirens fading behind them. They ended up at a safe house in Gangnam. A penthouse apartment that looked nothing like Amara's cramped student housing. "This is one of mine," Min-jun explained as his men swept the apartment to ensure it was secure. "You'll be safe here while I handle the fallout from today." The fallout. Young-woo's arrest will create a power vacuum. Other organizations will try to move in. My own people will need reassurance that I'm still in control. He ran a hand through his hair. "It's going to be messy, dangerous, which is why I need you to stay here. Stay safe, until I can clean things up." "For how long?" "A few days. Maybe a week." He cupped her face gently, his touch at odds with the violence she'd witnessed hours ago. "I meant what I said. I'll try to change. To be better. To be worthy of the faith you're showing in me. But I can't do that if I'm worried about you getting caught in the crossfire." Amara covered his hand with hers. "I'm scared." "Good. Fear keeps you alive. Never stop being scared of this world. Amara. It's the ones who aren't scared who end up dead. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be honest." He leaned forward, pressing his forehead against hers. "I won't lie to you again. Not about who I am or what I do. You deserve the truth, even when it's ugly. What if the truth is too ugly? What if I can't handle it? Then you walk away, and I'll make sure you can do it safely. No obligations. No guilt. Just walk away. And you?" His smile was sad. "I'll survive. I always do. I just won't live. There's a difference." Before Amara could respond, one of his men knocked on the door. "Boss, we need you. The Busan group is making moves already." Min-jun's jaw tightened. I have to go. Please stay here. Don't leave. Don't contact anyone. Can you do that for me? Amara wanted to argue, wanted to demand he stay, wanted to somehow stop the world from pulling him back into violence. But she saw the weight on his shoulders, the responsibility he carried, and she understood. This was who he was. This was the life he led. I'll wait, she promised. But Min-jun? Come back. Always. He kissed her forehead, gentle and brief. Then he was gone. Alone in the penthouse, Amara wandered from room to room, trying to process everything that had happened. 24 hours ago, her biggest problem had been a statistics midterm. Now she was hiding in a luxury apartment owned by a gangster she might be falling in love with, waiting while he went off to do things she probably didn't want to know about. Her phone buzzed. The new one Min-jun had given her. A text. There's food in the kitchen. Books in the study. TV has every streaming service. Make yourself at home. I'll be back as soon as I can. M. Despite everything, Amara smiled. Even while dealing with a power vacuum and rival organizations, he'd taken time to text her, to make sure she knew she wasn't forgotten. She opened the fridge and found it stocked with both Korean and African groceries. Somehow he'd known. Somehow, in the middle of everything else, he'd thought about what would make her comfortable. Maybe, Amara thought as she started cooking jollof rice, maybe this was who Min-jun really was underneath all the violence and power. Someone who paid attention. Someone who cared. Someone who was trying, in his own broken way, to be better. 3 days passed. Min-jun texted regularly but didn't visit. Brief messages that told her he was alive, that things were progressing, that she should be patient just a little longer. Amara studied, cooked, watched Seoul sparkle below her, and waited. On the 4th day he came back. He looked exhausted, shadows under his eyes, new bruises on his knuckles. But he was alive, and when he saw her, his whole face transformed with relief. You're still here. I said I'd wait. I thought you might change your mind, realize how insane this all is and run. Amara walked to him, took his bruised hands in hers. I thought about it. Every day I thought about it. But I'm still here. Young-woo's in custody. He'll be going away for a long time. The police found evidence of human trafficking at one of his warehouses. The other organizations have backed off. My people are secure. He paused. I've started making changes, shutting down the violent operations, focusing on legitimate businesses. It won't happen overnight and some people aren't happy about it, but I'm trying. That's all I ask. Is it? He pulled back slightly, his expression serious. Because I need you to understand what you're signing up for if you stay with me. There will always be danger. Always be people who want to hurt me by hurting you. Always be a past I can't erase. I can try to be better, but I can't be clean. Can you live with that? Amara thought about her grandmother's words, about humanity and choices. She thought about the 8 days when Min-jun had been just a man recovering in her apartment. She thought about the violence she'd witnessed and the gentleness he showed only to her. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know if I can handle this long term. I don't know if love is enough to bridge the gap between your world and mine. But I know I want to try. I know that when you were gone, I missed you. I know that when I thought Young-woo might kill you, I felt like I was breaking apart. So maybe I can't promise forever. But I can promise today. And tomorrow. And we'll figure out the rest as we go. Min-jun pulled her close, holding her like she was something precious and fragile. Today and tomorrow is more than I deserve. Probably, Amara agreed, her voice muffled against his chest. But you're getting it anyway. They stood there in the golden afternoon light, a girl from Lagos and a boy from Seoul's underworld, neither of them knowing if this would work, both of them willing to try. 6 months later, Amara graduated top of her class. Min-jun sat in the audience wearing a normal suit, looking like any other proud boyfriend, nothing about him suggesting the power he wielded in Seoul's shadows. Her mother had made the trip from Nigeria, had met Min-jun over a dinner where Amara carefully described him as being in business, and had pulled her daughter aside afterward. That boy loves you, her mother had said. But there's darkness in him. I can see it. Can you handle that? Amara had looked across the restaurant at Min-jun, who was laughing at something her younger brother had said, his whole face softening in a way it never did with anyone else. I'm learning too, Mama. Day by day. Now, standing on the steps of Seoul National University with her diploma in hand, Amara felt the weight of everything she'd accomplished and everything she'd chosen. Min-jun had kept his promise. The organization was slowly transforming. Fewer illegal operations, more legitimate businesses. It wasn't perfect. There were still days when he came home with blood on his knuckles. Still nights when he had to handle problems she didn't ask about. But he was trying, and that meant something. Congratulations, graduate, Min-jun said, handing her a bouquet of sunflowers, her favorite, not roses like everyone else carried. Thank you. She took the flowers, then grabbed his hand. Walk with me. They strolled through the campus, Amara in her graduation gown, Min-jun in his expensive suit, both of them aware of the bodyguards trailing at a discreet distance. It was their normal now, this strange blend of ordinary and dangerous. I have something for you, Min-jun said, pulling out a small box. Amara's heart jumped, but when he opened it, it wasn't a ring. It was a key. I bought a building in Gangnam. Ground floor is yours, for the consulting business you wanted to start, helping international students navigate Korea. The rest I'll use for legitimate operations. We'll be business partners. Proper, legal, completely above board. Amara stared at the key, her throat tight. Min-jun, I can't accept. Yes, you can. It's not a gift. It's an investment in someone I believe in. You'll pay me back through rent once the business is profitable. Everything legal, everything documented. This is me trying to build something real. Something that doesn't involve fear or violence. And I want to build it with you. She looked up at him. This man who'd been beaten and left to die, who'd killed to protect her, who was slowly, painfully trying to become someone better. What if I fail? What if the business doesn't work? Then we try something else. Amara, I've spent 10 years building an empire on blood. Let me spend the next 10 building something on hope. With you. That's really cheesy, she said. But she was smiling, tears in her eyes. I know. You're a terrible influence on me. She kissed him there on the campus steps, in front of students and parents and professors, not caring who saw. When they broke apart, Min-jun was smiling too. That rare, genuine smile he showed only to her. I love you, he said. I should have said it months ago, but I love you, and I will spend every day trying to deserve that love. You don't have to deserve it. That's not how love works. Amara touched his face, feeling the scar tissue from wounds long healed. But I love you too, even though you drive me crazy, even though your world scares me sometimes, even though I still don't know if this will work long term. Today and tomorrow? Today and tomorrow. They walked back to where her family waited, and Amara felt something settle in her chest. This wasn't a fairy tale. There was no happily ever after guaranteed. No promise that love would conquer all. Min-jun would always carry the weight of his past, and she would always struggle with accepting parts of his world. But they had today. They had tomorrow. They had each other and the genuine desire to build something better together. And sometimes that was enough. Her phone buzzed as they reached the car. G1, her old roommate who'd walked out that first night, had sent a text. Saw your graduation pics on Instagram. That guy is still around? Girl, you're crazy. But also, congrats. Want to get coffee and tell me everything? Amara laughed. My roommate wants to reconnect. The one who told you I was trouble? She wasn't wrong. No, Min-jun agreed. She wasn't. Are you going to tell her the truth? Amara considered it. The truth was complicated. That she'd saved a gangster, fallen in love with him, and was now trying to navigate a relationship between two completely different worlds. The truth was that some days she wanted to run back to the safety of her old life, and other days she couldn't imagine being anywhere but here. I'll tell her I'm dating someone complicated who's trying to be better. That's true enough. True enough. Min-jun opened the car door for her. Your mother invited me to Lagos next month. For your cousin's wedding. She did. Amara's eyes widened. What did you say? I said yes, if that's okay with you. I want to meet your family properly, see where you come from. And I promise to leave the business in Seoul. Just Min for a week, not Boss Kong. Just Min, Amara repeated softly. I'd like that. As they drove through Seoul streets, Amara thought about that night 7 months ago when she'd found a broken man in an alley and made a choice that changed everything. She thought about kindness and consequences, about love and danger, about all the ways life could surprise you when you were brave enough to help a stranger. What are you thinking about? Min-jun asked, noticing her expression. That night in the alley. If I could go back, knowing everything I know now, I don't think I'd change anything. Even the scary parts? Even those, because they led me here. To you. To us. She squeezed his hand. I'm not saying it's been easy, and I'm not saying there won't be hard days ahead. But I'd still make the same choice. Min-jun lifted her hand to his lips. I don't believe in fate or destiny, but I believe in you. In your kindness that saved me when I didn't deserve saving. In your strength that makes me want to be stronger. In your hope that reminds me there's more to life than survival. That's very poetic for a gangster. Reformed gangster. Slowly, very slowly, they both laughed, and in that moment, sitting in traffic in Seoul with bodyguards in the car behind them and complicated futures ahead of them, Amara felt something that surprised her. Peace. Not perfect peace. There would always be shadows, always be danger lurking at the edges of Min-jun's world, but peace in the knowledge that she'd made her choice with open eyes and a full heart. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was the new one Min-jun had given her, the one only he had the number for. A text. Thank you. For everything. For seeing me. For staying. For being my light in the darkness. I know I don't say it enough, but you saved my life in more ways than one. Amara looked at him. You know I'm sitting right next to you, right? You could just say this out loud. I know, but I wanted you to have it in writing. So on the hard days when my world gets too dark and you wonder if you made a mistake, you can read it and remember that you didn't. You saved me, Amara. In every way a person can be saved. Before she could respond, her mother called from the car ahead, asking where they wanted to go for the celebration dinner. Plans were made, reservations confirmed, and the moment passed into the flow of ordinary life. But Amara kept that text, saved it like she saved all his messages, building a collection of proof that underneath the violence and power, Min-jun was still just a man trying to be worthy of love. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. 3 years later, Amara's consulting business was thriving. She'd helped hundreds of international students navigate Korean bureaucracy, find housing, understand cultural differences. Min-jun's organization was almost entirely legitimate now. Real estate, entertainment venues, import-export businesses. They'd had to make hard choices, cut ties with people who refused to go legal, face threats from rivals who saw their transformation as weakness. But they'd survived. Together. The wedding was small, just family and close friends. Amara wore traditional Nigerian attire for the ceremony, then changed into a Korean hanbok for the reception, bridging both her worlds. Min-jun's remaining family attended reluctantly, still not fully accepting Amara, but their disapproval mattered less now. Mrs. Kang, Min-jun said, pulling her onto the dance floor. How does it feel? Strange. Good. Terrifying. She smiled up at him. Like everything with you. We could still run away. Start over somewhere new where no one knows us. We could. But we won't. Amara rested her head against his chest. We've built something here. Something real. I'm not running from it. Even though my cousin's family still gives you dirty looks? Even though. They'll come around. Or they won't. Either way, I'm not going anywhere. As they danced, Amara caught sight of Ji-won watching from a table, wine glass raised in an ironic toast. They'd reconnected, slowly rebuilt their friendship on a foundation of honesty. Ji-won still thought Amara was crazy for marrying into this life, but she respected the choice. Speech! Speech! Someone called out, and Min-jun groaned. You handle this one, he told Amara. You're better with words. She took the microphone, looking out at the assembled guests, her Nigerian family, Min-jun's Korean associates, friends from university, clients from her business. A perfect representation of the complicated, messy, beautiful life they'd built. 4 years ago, Amara began. I found someone who needed help. I had every reason to walk away, every logical reason to protect myself. But my grandmother taught me that our humanity is measured by what we do when no one is watching. So I helped, and that choice changed everything. She found Min-jun's eyes across the room. People think love is easy, that it's just a feeling that happens. But love is a choice. It's choosing to stay when things get hard. Choosing to believe in someone's capacity to change. Choosing to build something together even when you're scared. Min-jun and I chose each other, and we keep choosing each other every single day. That's what marriage is. Not a destination, but a daily decision to keep building, keep trying, keep loving. She raised her glass. So thank you all for being here to witness us making this choice official. And to anyone watching who's wondering if they should take a chance on something scary and uncertain, do it. Help that stranger. Take that risk. Choose love even when it's complicated. Because the best things in life are never the safe choices. The room erupted in applause. Min-jun came to her, pulled her close, whispered in her ear. I would die for you. You know that, right? I know. But I'd rather you live for me. Live for us. Keep being better. Keep building this life we're creating. That's worth more than dying. Deal. They kissed to more applause and cheers. And as the party continued around them, Amara felt the weight of her journey. From a struggling student in a foreign country to a successful businesswoman. From finding a bleeding stranger in an alley to marrying that same man after watching him transform his entire life. It wasn't a fairy tale. There were still hard days, still moments when Min-jun's past surfaced, still times when Amara questioned if she'd made the right choice. But there were also mornings waking up next to him, evenings cooking dinner together, small moments of peace that made all the struggle worthwhile. Her mother approached, pulling her aside. You're happy? Yes, Mama. Really happy. Good. Because I was wrong about him. What? That first dinner, I told you I saw darkness in him. I did. But I also see how hard he fights against it. How much he loves you. A man who changes himself for love, that's rare, my daughter. Hold on to that. Amara hugged her mother, tears streaming down her face. Across the room, Min-jun was laughing with her brother, looking more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. This was their life now. Complicated, unconventional, sometimes scary. But theirs. 5 years after that alley, Amara stood in her office, looking at the framed photo on her desk. It showed her and Min-jun on their wedding day, both of them laughing at something off camera. Next to it was another photo, the two of them at a charity event for at-risk youth, one of Min-jun's redemption projects. Mrs. Kang, her assistant, knocked. Your 3 o'clock is here. The student from Ghana who needs help with her visa. Send her in. A young woman entered, nervous and overwhelmed, clutching papers and looking like she was drowning in bureaucracy. Amara saw herself in that face, remembered being that lost, that scared. Hi, Amara said warmly. I'm Amara. Tell me how I can help. As the girl explained her situation, Amara thought about choices and consequences, about random moments that become turning points. She thought about a snowy night and a bleeding stranger and a decision to help despite every reason not to. Some people would say she'd been foolish, reckless, that she'd gotten lucky and it could have ended so much worse. They weren't wrong, but they weren't entirely right either. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is show kindness when the world tells you to look away. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is believe in someone's capacity to change. And sometimes, the most human thing you can do is see the person underneath the monster and offer them a chance at redemption. Amara had done all of that. And while the path hadn't been easy, while there had been fear and pain and moments of doubt, she wouldn't trade it for anything. Because that bleeding stranger in the alley had become her husband. That dangerous man had become her partner in building something better. That ruthless boss had become just Min. The man who cooked her breakfast and held her hand and chose to be better every single day. Later that evening, Amara came home to find Min-jun in the kitchen, cooking dinner like he did most nights. He'd traded his expensive suits for comfortable clothes, his penthouse for a home they'd bought together in a quiet neighborhood. The bodyguards were still there, parked outside in an unmarked car, but they were less obvious now, less necessary as Min-jun's world grew more legitimate. "How was your day?" he asked. The same question he asked every evening, wanting to know every detail of her life. "Good. Helped a student from Ghana with her visa issues. Reminded me of when I first got here. Before you found a half-dead gangster in an alley? Before that, yes." She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "Do you ever regret it? How everything changed?" Min-jun turned in her arms, serious now. "I regret the man I was, the things I did, the people I hurt. But I don't regret you finding me. I don't regret choosing to change. And I don't regret any day I've spent with you, even the hard ones. Even when I make you watch Nigerian movies you don't understand? Even then." He kissed her forehead. "Amara, you saved my life. But more than that, you gave me a reason to want to save it. Before you, I was just surviving, waiting for someone to finally finish the job Young-woo started. After you, I had something to live for, someone to be better for. You didn't do it for me. You did it for yourself. Maybe, but you made me believe I could. That's everything." They ate dinner together, talking about their days, making plans for the weekend, existing in the beautiful mundanity of ordinary life. This was what they'd fought for, not grand gestures or dramatic moments, but this. Simple evenings and shared meals and the comfort of being known and loved despite every flaw. Later, lying in bed with Min-jun's arm around her and Seoul's lights glittering through the window, Amara thought about that scared girl in the alley 4 years ago. The one who'd had every reason to walk away but chose kindness instead. "Thank you," she whispered into the darkness. "For what?" Min-jun's voice was sleepy, content. "For being worth it. For making my crazy choice turn out okay. More than okay, I hope. Much more than okay." She turned to face him. "I love you, Min-jun. The man you were, the man you are, the man you're still becoming. All of it. I love you too. Always." They fell asleep like that. Two people from different worlds who'd found each other in the worst possible circumstances and somehow built something beautiful. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This story of Amara and Min-jun shows us that kindness can change lives in unexpected ways, and that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone willing to grow and change alongside you. What did you think of their journey? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional stories that will keep you captivated from start to finish. Your support means everything to us.